We've been taught that if we want to build muscle, we have to slam protein shakes and peanut butter, which can be helpful. But if you want to maximize the muscle that you're building, then we need to rethink the foods that we're choosing. In this video, I'm going to lay out the 4 foods or food categories that we should be including if we want to put on the most muscle. If you're new here, my name is Trevor. I'm a dietitian who helps men just like you with real nutrition strategies to easily put on muscle. Number 1, high quality proteins. This wouldn't be a nutrition video without mentioning protein, am I right? And you may have seen that as you're tracking that a lot of foods actually add up to the protein that we're consuming throughout the day. Even foods like grains, fruit, and vegetables even seem to add a gram of protein here and there. The problem with this type of protein is that it has a low PDCAAS score, which means protein digestibility corrected amino acid score. Now, some nifty food scientists out there came up with this scoring system essentially just to say whether a food is matching humans' needs or not. Those needs being anything in your body that requires a protein, such as rebuilding soft tissue, the matrix of your bones, or what we care about, muscle protein synthesis. You can go and look up any source of protein on this scorecard and it'll help you determine if it's a good protein or not. The score that we want to aim for is 0.9 or above. The food that they use as a 1.0, aka the reference of a quote unquote best protein, was an egg. So you may see that some proteins such as whey protein powder is actually higher than a 1. It is a better protein source than an egg for the human body and the processes that we want to use it for. Most of the foods that we consume and think about as good proteins are gonna be high on this list, such as meat, fish, soy, eggs, and everybody's favorite, some good old-fashioned protein powder. You can include some complementary proteins for you weirdo vegans out there, but you will see that their score is less than 0.9. However, when you combine them, their score does increase to be a better protein. But if you're watching my videos, I'm pretty sure you're not vegan or vegetarian. Now, it's no surprise that a lot of these proteins are the best proteins for us to consume. They are the most similar to human skeletal muscle. So if we consume those profile of amino acids, then we're gonna be able to build muscle the best. And it doesn't mean that every single gram of protein you eat has to have a high PDCAAS score. However, if you're consuming a lower amount of protein, then it might be a little bit more important for you to watch out for what the score of your proteins is. And I do want to point out that protein shakes are a really good option here. So many people have been talking down about having a lot of protein shakes, and I get it because they're a processed food that people feel like don't have a lot of nutrients, although the nutrients that they do have are fantastic and the nutrients that they're fortified with are great as well. Now, don't get me wrong, you shouldn't be slamming like 5 to 10 protein shakes a day, but it could be helpful to get in all of your calories if some of your protein comes in liquid form that is quickly digestible, like a whey protein shake. Okay, protein is the obvious food group, but what are some other things that we really need to dial in that might be a little bit less talked about? Number 2 is whole grains. I think when we think about healthy nutrition, we think about whole grains. We know that they have more vitamins and minerals and fiber in them. But when we think about muscle building, we think about rice, just slamming more and more rice. Like, how many of your meals per day are rice? Like, I'm genuinely curious. If you've watched my other videos and you know that I keep making this argument, but that's just because it's true. We need more fiber when we're bulking because one of the hardest things about bulking is consistently eating enough food. The problem is that people are eating such low quality food, things like rice that just don't have a lot of fiber, and it's gonna make it hard for your body to have high quality bowel movements without a good amount of fiber relative to the amount of food that you're consuming. So if we include more whole grains, which have more fiber in them, then we're probably gonna have better bowel movements, which means that we're probably gonna be able to eat more because we're not gonna feel full because we're not stuffed up. Some of my favorite whole grains to include, which now that I think about it, this list isn't all whole grains, but they kind of fit the same category of high fiber carbohydrates, things like oats, potatoes, quinoa, beans, and bran cereal. And yes, this is bran cereal, like the kind that your grandpa eats. But just so you guys know, the secret is to mix it with a little bit of delicious cereal. So that way you get the good flavor, but also you get all that fiber and still a ton of carbohydrates. And I wanna give a special shout out to quinoa here because quinoa, if you look at the PDCAAS score for that, it's actually really high. So it's actually a really good source of high quality protein, as well as being a high quality source of carbohydrates. It's probably one of the best grains that you can consume, considering it also has a lot of fiber. And in my experience working with so many people, I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is that everybody has one of two macronutrients that they tend to be low on. We're so mega focused on getting our protein intake in when we're bulking that a lot of people tend to fall short on either carbohydrates or fat. And in my experience, it tends to be carbohydrates that most people are falling low on. So I think if we consume a greater amount of these high quality carbohydrates I've just mentioned here, that we actually will have a lot more success. We'll feel better in our workouts because carbohydrates provide that energy, that high intensity explosive energy. And we're so afraid of carbohydrates these days because of what the media has portrayed them as that we tend not to consume them. But if you're slamming a lot of carbohydrates, which you're doing from rice anyways, just make it a better source. You're gonna feel better and you're gonna perform better. All right, I'm getting off my soapbox. So number 3, fruit. To me, fruit is a cheat code. Like, think about it like this. Fruit is portable. Like, almost any piece of fruit, like, you could just take wherever. You can like throw it in your pocket, like you can put it in your backpack. Like, don't leave it there for too long, but if you're eating it, it's not a big deal. And most pieces of fruit, like almost all except some cantaloupe. No, I don't like cantaloupe. But most fruit just tastes amazing. And this is why I think that, you know, whatever you believe in, whether it's God, the universe, the creator, that I think whoever that is, they made fruit for people who are bulking, because why is every fruit like almost exactly 100 calories? That's just always the amount that I need. Like, I'm always like under like 100 calories for a meal, and I just throw a piece of fruit in, and then I'm like right there. Now somebody's gonna comment below and say, oh, but the fructose, it's so bad for you. Just read like one study and you're gonna realize that fructose is not bad for you. Like, you will never consume enough fructose for your liver to be just this big slab of fat. And that's gonna happen from just overconsumption of calories in general before it happens from fructose alone. All right, if you made it this far in the video, then you probably don't hate everything I'm saying, or you're just sitting there just seething and just waiting for the right moment to write a comment, which, hey, do it. I appreciate it. But if you like this, then definitely leave a like and make sure that you don't forget to subscribe. Okay, let's get on to number 4, which I think is the most practical recommendation, and that is convenience items. I think on fitness YouTube and fitness Instagram, we get into this echo chamber where everybody's like, we have to eat more whole foods, more whole foods. And I agree. Most people probably need to consume more whole foods, like foods that are most similar to they come in nature and have a lot of nutrients and fiber and all that great stuff. Absolutely true. But I think that we are also adults who have jobs and responsibilities and family, and there's things that we have to do that don't involve bulking, which is great. Fitness should be a large part of your life, but probably not your whole life. So we need to utilize some convenience items so that we can ensure that we're getting in our calorie intake consistently over a long period of time, and making sure that we have the tools in our toolbox that allow us to follow through. So I always have on me something like a Cliff Bar, a piece of fruit like I just mentioned, maybe a protein bar or some kind of protein powder stored at work or somewhere that I can just get to it if I need it, if something happens and I get too busy or an emergency happens and I still need to eat. And trust me, I get really hangry, so you do not want to be around me if I don't have something nearby. But also things at home. So if you do have a busy night, maybe you got to work a little bit longer, or you get home a little bit later, there's traffic, then you need to have something in your fridge or your freezer that can just be a backup. I really like having things like chicken nuggets, like healthy chicken nuggets, the ones that actually have a good amount of protein in them, steamable bags that have some vegetables, or maybe steamable bags of rice, or things like cans of beans, just things that are just super fast to heat up, and then I can have a full high quality meal at my fingertips in a matter of minutes or maybe 10 minutes. And don't get me wrong, I don't think your entire diet should be made up of convenience items and that should be all that you have. Like, if you have a really busy lifestyle, you probably need to figure out some kind of plan to still get in some whole foods, whether that's a meal prep service or meal prepping on your own. But getting in those convenience items doesn't have to be this whole thing that it's like the worst thing ever that so many people make it out to be. A little bit of processing is okay. That's fine. We want to aim for minimally processed, not zero processed. Look, if you're interested in more real strategies that you can implement in order to make sure that your bulk is successful, this is real advice that I'm giving to real clients that I work with in real life. then check out the other videos on my YouTube channel and specifically the Build Muscle playlist, because I'm giving it all away for free right here on YouTube. And all I ask for is a like or a subscribe. So check out this video and I'll see you there.